Weber's 6th championship round appearance of this year, even though he sat out for 6 months. That was a little high, got away from him, and he leaves the 6th pin.
That's an emotional letdown right there for Pete Weber. He's got to get his head back into the match right now. He's thinking that last match, that one he just turned a little early, set the ball down, got it hooking a little early.
How good is this field today? We weren't exaggerating, Errol. 39 titles among Mark McNall, David Ozio, Bryan Goebel, Del Ballard, and Pete Weber. Weber with 18, of course.
And here's the young man. We've talked about the players in this top 5 that are trying to be bowler of the year and have that opportunity by winning maybe today to lock it up. This is a young man that could be the spoiler.
Leaves the 4-pin. Bryan out of Marion, Kansas, a 10-year member of the PBA, 30 years old. And Earl, he's wearing a lilac shirt today. Of course, this is the Lilac City, and that color predominates around here at Marcel's Olympic Bowl.
It sure does. And this guy, as I was going to mention, he could be the spoiler. He didn't get here by default. He's a very talented young man. He's an aggressive player. And if he gets it going against Pete Weber will have his hands full. He can't afford to let down. Bryan Goebel will come at you. What a great opening match, and we expect more just like it.
His 8th career championship round. A reminder coming up. Earl Anthony will be joining you with Beyond the Foul Line. He'll be talking about equipment, that special feature brought to you by the American Bowling Congress. Bryan, a fan of the Kansas Jayhawks. He loves that basketball out there in Lawrence. And he is from Merriam, Kansas. Now Weber. One of 3 players to win the Triple Crown. A little high, but he got him.
And for those of you who may not be aware, as you saw that stat on Pete Weber, one of 3 players to win the Triple Crown. The PBA Triple Crown is the PBA National Championship, the Firestone Tournament of Champions, and of course the U.S. Open.
The others who have done it, Billy Hardwick and John Petraglia. John here today.
All Hall of Famers, and this young man will definitely be in the PBA Hall of Fame.
Weber up by 10.
And here's a look at that last shot. And what Pete Weber does probably better than anybody else in the game is get the ball well out in front before he turns it. When he makes a mistake, he sets it short. If he sets it short, it couldn't be anything. But when he gets it out in front, he's got everything going for him. No one's ball hits harder in the pin deck area than Pete Weber's.
Bryan left with another 4-pin. He comes out of the chute very slowly and deliberately.
He does. Now, here's a good look at the style of Bryan Goebel. He's a very deliberate player, as you mentioned, Jay. The long, fluid arm swing. Watch him get the slide way down. He's very low for a tall player. A great extension. The strength in his game is the extension. He gets his arm well out down the target line. When you do that, you have tremendous control of the ball, and your fingers stay on the ball longer after your thumb is out, which what creates the heavy roll that Bryan Goebel gets on the ball. Instead of the rotation on the side, as you get a good look at his wife here, this is Kelly, and she's a sweetheart. As you get a good look at Kelly, at Bryan Goebel's style again here, the long extension creates the direction. That's why he's such an accurate player and gets a heavy forward roll on the ball rather than the side turn that Pete Weber gets.
And on 33, a strike. His high game here this week was 279. We'll be back with more of this second match of the $150,000 Chevy Truck Classic right after these messages. New York, and of course tomorrow after NFL Live, most of you will see the Bills take on the New England Patriots. Others watch the Chiefs in Cleveland, the Raiders at Cincinnati, or Houston at Pittsburgh. The second half of the doubleheader, that Miami Dolphins Chicago Bear game. Denver's at Seattle, San Diego, and the Jets. Check your local listings. Bryan Goebel now with 3 in a row has taken the lead over Pete Weber here in this second match. And the 10-pin won't go down. It was on that lane 34 that Weber came up with those 3 big strikes to win that first match by 1 over Del Ballard Jr.
In the 4th frame on this very same lane, he left the 4-pin when the ball was a little high in the pocket. Pete making the normal adjustment, trying to get the ball a little farther down the lane before Hook came in a little bit behind the head pin, and that'll always leave the 10. Bryan Goebel, very pumped up for this match, knows he has to get out in front against Pete Weber. He can't afford a mistake. As you saw what happened to Del Ballard Jr. in the first match, he made the mistake, and Pete Weber took advantage of it.
Last time he was on TV, he won his 18th title, the U.S. Open in Indianapolis. Trying to go from the number 5 spot here.
And that's what he did there, Jay. He came from 5th to win that tournament.
And they go down. And he's a very happy gentleman. So is Kim. More coverage of the Chevy Truck Classic from here in Rochester. We'll be back. Weber going against Goebel. More in a moment. Olympic showcase. Mike Krzyzewski's Duke Blue Devils and the USSR national team. Get ready for some fast-paced basketball action. That's next, right here on NBC Sports. Pete Weber strikes in the 7th and 8th. But Goebel with 4 strikes in the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th has the lead by 21. Got to hurry. It does. Ooh, that one came out of nowhere.
And as we thought, Jay, we're coming down to the same situation we did in the last game. We're going to get another look at Pete Weber's ball. Again, he's very deep in the lane. By that, I mean the ball going well down the lane, out near the channel. But look at the side rotation, brings the ball back, kicks the 10 out. Bryan Goebel on 5 in a row. He needs 2 more, believe it or not, to lock up this match.
And another 4-pin.
All right, both players at this point going at a possible 249 pace. Again, we're in a position for that tie. This is the 9th frame. Bryan Goebel needs a spare here. Here's another look at that last shot. And you can see the difference in the rotation, the end-over-end roll that Bryan Goebel gets on his ball as opposed to the tremendous side rotation that Pete Weber gets. And that's just how you rotate your wrist at the point of release. Right now, they're dead even going into the 10th frame. And Bryan Goebel, he still cannot win this match. Even if he strikes out in the 10th. He needs to get all 3 to shoot 249. Pete Weber still has a possible 249.
Bryan joined the tour in '81. Credited his success on the tour to his regional program experience.
A little more ball speed on that one, Jay, but he got it back to the pocket, that heavy forward roll. But you can see the strength of his game is that long extension. He has long arms, and he uses them to the maximum advantage by getting the ball well out of the lane and staying with it. He will not cut the ball short. Here's a look at the rotation of the ball, the end-over-end rolls. It turns in. Tremendous pin action. And that was the key strike. He had to have that one to make Pete Weber get the first strike in the 10th. And this one to make Pete Weber double.
You saw that graphic. He defeated Weber in match play here, and his missus, Kelly, rooting for him right now. Here's his reaction after that last strike.
And each one more important than the last. He strikes here. The best Pete Weber can do is tie.
Oh, boy. Sensational bowling here in Rochester.
The best bowlers in the world showing you why they are the best. They can perform in the clutch. Pete Weber has to do it again. He did it last time against Del Ballard. Can he answer the challenge twice in a row? Here's where we'll watch. 3 strikes to tie.
And we don't need to say much at this point of the proceedings. He needs 3 to tie, and here we go. Weber on 34.
That's one.
The look in Pete Weber's eyes, you can see in his eyes, he has tremendous
these two ladies,
confidence.
they're trying to laugh, but I'll tell you, this crowd has really appreciated the action they have seen so far here this afternoon. This has been remarkable play.
That's 2.
Now remember, if he strikes here, we tie. And if there's a tie, there'll be a 9th and 10th frame roll-off. Another look at that last shot. Now watch how slow and deliberate, the tremendous rotation. The ball well out in front. Very confident player. Very talented player.
And Pete's reaction. Can he throw one more strike and take this to a tie?
Well, it's the other way around this time. Bryan Goebel wins it 249 to 248, and this crowd has been treated to 2 tremendous matches here.